What's up? I'm Justin,
My name's Slavo.
and together we are Fly By Midnight.
Yep.
We go through our phases. I know people change. So if you go changing, I'll twist into your shape.
Yeah, we always say that a lot of people could write good songs in a room, but it was about friendship at first, right? And when we first wrote together, there wasn't an expectation of starting a band. It was just writing a song, firstly to write a great song, but also at that time, Slava was a producer and I was a solo artist, and I think we were just so taken by the chemistry in the room that we knew we had to do something more with it, right?
Yeah, it felt very natural. You know, some people in your life that you meet, you just kind of click, and it sounds cliche to say, but we were that relationship, and we're very fortunate for it. It's definitely been fruitful for our careers, and as a friendship, it's been something that we've gone through it like any other friendship or relationship in life. The ups and downs have been great and sometimes really bad, and we've kind of gotten through it together. And that's the theme of this album too, is a lot of just like reflecting on our lives and getting to this point too. So yeah, it's fun to look back at the day one stuff.
And we thought, stuff was crazy years and years ago, but now things move at like light speed in our personal lives, but also with the band, and in a good way.
Hard to find. Yeah, I've always been out running with a 10-track mind. I won't lie.
Yeah, and I think we've cultivated a space where we still can keep our own, our own musical interests that we bring to the table. We always say that, I started off in theater before Fly By Midnight, and Slavo started off playing in rock bands. So it's like a intersection of both. And but over time, I think our interests in music are pretty much align, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think Fly By Midnight is where we align. You know what I mean? That's all our taste has gone into this project, and however you compare this project to other projects is kind of pretty accurate for our taste. All the things you can think of. Holly Humberstone is a more recent one. Charlie Puth, Maroon 5 are some of like the more recent ones when we were first getting started. We honestly, when we first started the project, the name is so retro sounding with Fly, and having like the whole midnight aspect of it, because we wanted to have that 80s concept involved, or that 80s flair. At the time, that was when 1989 Taylor Swift was huge. That was a big inspiration for us. Full Circle, Betty Who was another one at the time. We really loved the album Take Me When You Go, right?
Take Me Where You Go?
Somewhere like
Take
that.
Me Where You Go.
We ended up getting to work with Betty, which was a really cool full circle moment.
Yeah, definitely.
But that was where our roots were. So the 80s sound, the synths, that's something that we both really gravitated towards, especially at that time. And just growing up, we always loved that sound, that 80s retro, like nostalgic feel. These days, we've incorporated more guitars and more band-esque aspects because we've toured more. So we feel like we've leaned into the touring side of it.
But I still think from a songwriting perspective, like it goes back to your love for Billy Joel, my love for Elton John, Hall Notes. Even early on we were referencing, even the outfield. We pulled in different inspirations as far as the Smiths, Madonna. I always remember that Madonna guitar lick we brought in for a song Automatic. And I think we try to maintain being eclectic. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, where we're at in our careers, we've focused primarily on Fly By Midnight for the past, 2 or 3 years, where haven't really done a lot of outside writing. So we haven't really had that issue as much lately. When we first really got into it, we were doing a 50-50 balance of writing for others and working for ourselves. And I can't think of a song that we were like, oh, I wish we would have kept that in particular. I feel like we do a good job at keeping it like the flyby sound in the production, but really taking the artist's story and letting them shine over our production.
Yeah, I think maybe like you said a few years ago, maybe there were a couple songs that were written for another artist. Like I remember it was a Justin Bieber writing brief where we wrote a song "Settle Down" years ago, and we were like, nah, we'll just take that one.
That is true.
But for this album, we're very grateful that the last 2 years we've been able to just focus on Flyby solely and pay the bills. Because back in the day, we kind of had to do a little bit of both. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with anything in life, right, the more you work at it, the more naturally it becomes, something that evolves, whether it's for better or for worse. But for us, I guess it was for better.
Yeah.
There was a lot of points in our journey up to this point now looking back where we're like, okay, that was a turning point for us. That doing that was huge. Like even moving to Los Angeles, a lot of people do it, and you know, some people succeed and some people fail, and we've been on the positive side of it so far. And that was another moment where I feel like we moved here, and then our even the sound from living in New York was a certain way, and then there's a tint of whatever we were inspired by with other writers and producers that we worked with here that even naturally just kind of blended their way into the DNA of what we were doing.
Yeah, I think we've always kept our ears and eyes open to what's going around us in the culture as well. And I think that reflects in not only having more practice, but also just, you know, I feel like I've never understood how an artist could create like these great pieces of work and not listen to what other people were doing. Because for me, you sort of take in whether it's listening backward or listening to what's going on currently. But I think as we continue to indulge in more and more music, it's reflected in our albums. Like you said, the last 2 albums or so have a lot more live elements, because that's something that not only are we touring more, but we are listening to more bands as of late. And yeah, I think looking back, I just said this in another interview in some capacity, but it's like certain songs walked so other songs could run. And I think like, yeah, I mean, dating back as far as even our first album, I remember we had a song called Just Say It, which was our first serious song. Before that, everything was kind of goofy.
Feel good party,
quirky a little bit. And that was a moment where we were like, okay, we have a real platform where we have a voice to say something. And since then, we've really kind of taken that and ran with it. This new album, we're saying things that we've never said on albums previously. And I think as long as we could keep doing that, I think there's another 10 albums left in us. Yeah,
I think that comes too from like the partnership we have. We love to challenge each other, and as long as we keep challenging each other, we're going to try to do something different or better, or just a different iteration of it. So I think it comes a lot from that. I don't even consider it competitive, but there's a nature within the two of us that we're like, okay, we've done this. How do we do that, but make it fresh, new for our own selves?
It's like competing with ourselves. Yeah.
Silver Crane, Fictional Illustrations, we kind of hit a stride with those. Fictional Illustrations, the last album, we really had a lot of cool moments sonically that we just had like some aha moments for our project. And I feel like too, you talk about we're coming up on 10 years. I feel like we've really only figured it out probably within the last couple albums. So
for sure, I agree.
It's interesting to think, because you look at some of our favorite artists and they have zillions of albums, like, you know what I mean? And there's so much expression throughout each phase of it, and what is that going to look like for us is interesting to that question that you say, you know, because this album itself, almost similar to Fictional Illustrations, is very eclectic. So that still is true when it comes to like how we're working sonically. But I don't know. I wonder, like, from here, we always talk about how to challenge ourselves and sonically what that looks like, and you know, how do you shock the fans with the music without shocking them to a point of it being a negative thing, you know? And that balance is something that we've always kind of teetered on. And I think, I mean, a lot of the stuff we're doing is the live element to me is like what makes it the most exciting, because I feel like we're really hitting like a stride with playing live. And there's still such a necessity for playing live. We're just figuring out ourselves, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And I think not only do we want to keep it exciting for the fans, but at the end of the day, it's about keeping it exciting for us. Because when it stops being exciting for us, you know, it may not work anymore. And I think what's cool about the album The Fastest Time of Our Lives is that during the duration of making this new album, we've also had some pretty bigger picture conversations. We've had some long drives. We've toured all over the world, and we've been able to talk about like, hey, are you still happy doing this? Yeah, we are still so happy over 10 years doing this, and we still have more to say, and we're still inspired. But this next album, after this one, we will have to challenge ourselves again, and I think it's scary, and it's exciting, and for yeah.
I was gonna say too. I think you like for us, it could be something as simple as like adding a toy. You know what I mean? I say that kind of in a light way,
For
but
sure.
like it could be getting a new keyboard that inspires. You know, oh, this is what we want it to sound like. This last album, we say it's very guitar driven, because there's a lot of guitars that I purchased during
Yep.
producing this.
Yep.
That there was a 12 string. Never used a 12 string guitar on an album before. There's a few songs on this album that are like the poster childs of it that are 12 string sounding. Which is cool. It's like a very simple thing to add into the element, but it made a difference.
Yeah, and it's also on the sonic side, but also on the lyric side too. Of like, are there more things that we want to say that we haven't said before, or are there different ways to say it? Like at the end of the day, we're still romantic dudes. We're still hopeless romantics. And I still think our music will always tie back to that. But there are different stories to tell, whether it's looking within our past or, a lot of the time we pride ourselves on being fictional writers, like an author. Like, is there a new book that we want to write here? And what are those characters? Yeah.
Running, oh baby, we're running.
The Fastest Time of Our Lives, which is a new album.
Yep.
It comes out July 11th, which is very soon based on whenever this interview airs.
7-Eleven, let's go.
7-Eleven. Get your Slurpee. And then after that, we're going out on the North American leg of this tour. We're calling it the North American Circuit of the Fastest Time of Our Lives tour. 22 cities, playing the biggest venues we've ever headlined before. And then after that, there may be a few other circuits on this run, playing in countries we've never been before. So it's very exciting for us. I think we're excited to go back to Asia at some point, which is very suddenly become one of our biggest markets. And then, maybe some other countries that we've been planning to go to. Yeah.
We talk about what keeps us going. It's that we've been able to have these moments where we look back on the year and like, oh shit, that's something completely new. Last year it was the Asia run. Incredible experience. Some of the biggest shows we've ever played in our lives.
Ever.
This year we're looking forward to new stuff. Next year, already looking forward to new stuff. It's cool. At this point in our career, I feel like the fact that we're able to still do that and feel those fresh, like new feelings is really cool.
I was also going to say it's kind of refreshing in our career now that we have things on the books for next year already. And I remember, there was a time in this band where we didn't know what next week was going to look like. And like, we'd get a call. Okay, we're going to play a show somewhere next Tuesday, and now we have an idea. And I the other idea is hopefully a lot more festivals, we took a little break from them for a couple of years. And I think that's going to be post-tour kind of, hopefully maybe another album. We'll see. And maybe some really solid festival runs.
We really feel like we hit our stride on the last two albums before this. So, I mean, we really just kind of, as far as curating, we picked from those two. And then I think for this one, we're doing every song from this current album. Just because we've always wanted the albums, the tour brand. We've never done that before where we've played every single song. We really wanted to do that. We feel really proud of all these songs and how they're going to translate live. Who knows? Maybe we'll be 3 shows in and we'll be like, all right, we're going to take these 3 out. They suck. Let's put these back in. We're really focused on doing that. And then, which is exciting because then we could just pull the best of the best, and we only have so many slots. So it's used to be difficult to like really find something that we're excited about, but this we were really pulling at teeth to figure out what songs to take out of it. There's some songs that have done really well for us that we're not including, which is kind of wild.
Yeah. I think this is the first time where we were like, wow, guess we're not going to give them this one, But at the same time, we're still going to give the hits, and I think there are a couple moments in the set that we're excited about coming up where I think we're going to have our fans guessing if we are going to play certain songs. And I'd say 8 out of 10 times we will. And then there's moments where maybe we'll tease a little something. But it's so cool, to your point, to look back on a discography and say, wow, there's several albums worth of music that people want to buy a ticket to hear. And it seems like only yesterday where someone buying a ticket to hear anything from us was not in the cards,
Something we do too that we kind of discovered on the last tour, which I think is really cool for us now that we have so many songs to pick from, is we'll in the VIP section of our show or before the show, whatever, we'll do exclusively songs that we're not playing that night or that we're not playing on tour. So X, Y, and Z that we're like, oh, we wish we could have made it on the set. We'll do them at the VIP just to, whoever is able to make it to that, at least they get a taste of those. And then we get to play them too. So it keeps them,
Yeah, keeps them alive a little bit. Yeah. I think that's another favorite part of our touring. Those like VIP pre-acoustic shows every night. It's really cool. It's really special, and we get to meet people. And I think for us, we're in the studio making the album, and sometimes we forget how impactful music can be. It becomes like a cyclical sort of thing, and then we meet people that have stories to share about how songs really impacted their lives, and I'm really excited for that coming up on this tour as well.
Hi, we're Flab at Midnight.
And you've just been buzzed.